Today, we're heading deep into the Malaysian countryside, to the sprawling rubber plantations of Johor and Perak. If you've grown up in Malaysia, you've probably heard whispers about the Pontianak, a vengeful female spirit with long black hair, dressed in white, who appears near banana trees, hunting for victims with her razor-sharp fingernails. The story I'm about to share comes from a plantation worker who experienced something in 2019 that made him leave his job and never return. Stick around, because after the story, I'll explain the deeper cultural beliefs behind the Pontianak. Is the ghost of a woman who died during childbirth or while pregnant, trapped between worlds because of the trauma of her death. She appears as a beautiful woman in white, but when she reveals her true form, her mouth opens impossibly wide, her nails grow long and sharp, and she emits a blood-curdling shriek. Locals say you can tell when she's near by 3 signs: the scent of frangipani flowers, a baby's cry in the distance, and the feeling of being watched. If the smell is strong, she's far away. If it fades, she's close. Razak, a 28-year-old rubber tapper working on a family-owned estate near Kluang, Johor. He'd been doing the job since he was a teenager, waking at 3 in the morning to tap the trees before sunrise. The estate was old, surrounded by dense jungle, and there were parts even older workers avoided, especially a section near the eastern edge where banana trees grew wild. Razak was assigned to that section in late November. The first morning seemed normal until he neared the banana grove and noticed something strange: a sweet, floral smell in the air. Frangipani. He looked around but saw nothing, just trees, shadows, and his headlamp cutting through darkness. Then he heard it, a soft cry, like a baby whimpering in the distance. There were no villages nearby, no houses within a kilometer. He called out, but there was no response. He didn't investigate that morning. When he mentioned the smell and sound to other workers during breakfast, they exchanged uneasy glances. Pak Hassan, an older supervisor, pulled him aside. "Stay away from the banana trees, Razak. Don't go near them after dark. And if you smell flowers, walk the other way." But Razak had a job to do. The next morning, the smell was stronger and the cry louder, coming from the banana grove itself. As he tapped the bark, his headlamp flickering, he kept glancing toward the grove. And then he saw her. A figure in a white dress, her back turned, long black hair hanging to her waist. She was perfectly still. "Hello?" His voice cracked. The woman didn't respond. Then, slowly, she began to turn. Razak stumbled backward, his bucket clattering to the ground. He didn't wait to see her face. He ran. Behind him, a high-pitched shriek cut through the air, followed by something crashing through the underbrush, getting closer. Razak didn't stop until he reached the main road. He collapsed against the supervisor's hut, gasping, shaking. When he finally explained what he'd seen, Pak Hassan nodded grimly. "You saw her, the woman who died there 30 years ago. She was pregnant, laboring alone near those banana trees. No one found her for 3 days." Razak quit a week later, but here's what still haunts him. When he reviewed his phone photos, there was one he didn't remember taking. Timestamp 4:17 a.m., showing the banana grove. Standing in the center, barely visible in shadows, was the woman in white. Her face was turned toward the camera, her eyes were black holes, and her mouth was open impossibly wide. The Pontianak is one of the most feared spirits in Malaysian folklore, rooted in the real dangers women faced during childbirth before modern medicine. Malaysians believe banana trees attract Pontianak because they provide shelter, and that certain trees become homes for these spirits. The frangipani scent lures victims, and the baby's cry draws out compassionate hearts. To protect yourself, locals carry an iron nail, recite Quranic verses, or avoid isolated areas after dark. Razak moved to Kuala Lumpur and tried to forget, but he still can't stand the smell of frangipani flowers. And sometimes, late at night, he hears a baby crying, even though he lives on the 12th floor of an apartment building. Could there be a rational explanation? The smell could have been from nearby flowers. The cry might have been an animal. The figure could have been shadows playing on his exhausted mind. And the photo? A glitch, pareidolia turning pixels into something terrifying. But Razak doesn't believe that, and neither do the workers who still avoid the eastern section, where the banana trees grow wild and the air smells of frangipani on certain nights. In the first story, we explored the Pontianak in rural plantations, but this spirit doesn't limit herself to the countryside. We're now moving to urban Kuala Lumpur, specifically to a condemned housing block in Cheras, scheduled for demolition in 2021. This case involves multiple witnesses, leaked security footage, and a death authorities still classify as unexplained. The story centers on a security guard hired to watch the empty building during its final months. Osman, a 35-year-old security guard who'd worked various night shifts across Kuala Lumpur for over a decade. When assigned to guard the condemned flat in Cheras, a 12-story block evacuated due to structural issues, he saw it as easy money. His job: patrol the perimeter twice a night, no one broke in, and report any damage. The building was a 1980s relic, standing empty with dark windows, graffiti-covered walls, and vegetation creeping through concrete cracks. The surrounding area was oddly quiet. Neighboring blocks had been demolished, leaving this building isolated. Asman started in March. The first week was uneventful, but during week 2, he noticed something odd. On his patrols around 2 or 3 a.m., he'd catch the scent of frangipani near the back stairwell. Strange, since there were no trees nearby, just cracked pavement and weeds. Enchek Rashid gave him a long look. "Careful, brother. This building has a history." A young pregnant woman had died alone in a 9th-floor unit in the late 1990s. Neighbors found her 3 days later. People say she never left, especially near the stairwell. That night, the smell was stronger, coming from the stairwell entrance where the metal doors stood ajar despite being chained shut. Asman pushed it open, and the smell hit like a wave. Then he heard it, a soft crying echoing from above. A baby's cry. "Hello?" The crying stopped. The silence was worse. But he was a guard. He had to investigate. He climbed through pitch darkness, the smell growing stronger at each landing. He reached the 9th floor. The corridor door was open. At the far end, near the last unit, stood a woman in white, her back to him, long black hair cascading down. "Excuse me, you're not supposed to be here." The woman didn't move. Then slowly, her head tilted to the side, too far, at an unnatural angle. She started to laugh, a low, guttural sound, and then she turned. Her face was pale, eyes completely black, mouth opening impossibly wide, revealing rows of teeth that seemed endless. The frangipani smell became suffocating. Asman ran. He bolted down the stairwell, her shrieking echoing behind him, growing closer. He burst through the ground floor and sprinted to his guardhouse, slamming the door shut. He reported it the next morning and demanded to see security footage. The CCTV covering the back entrance captured something at 2:47 a.m., a white figure moving across the frame, almost gliding toward the stairwell. At 3:03 a.m., the camera went dark for 90 seconds. When it returned, Azman was seen running out. Azman refused to return. They hired a replacement who didn't believe in ghosts. He lasted 3 nights. On the 3rd, he was found unconscious near the 9th floor stairwell, face scratched, eyes wide with terror. He was hospitalized for shock and refused to speak. Was demolished 2 months early. But before demolition, urban explorers filmed the interior. One viral video shows the 9th floor corridor. At the 123 mark, you can clearly see a figure in white at the end of the hall, watching the camera. The video cuts off seconds later. Redhead Pontianak sightings have risen as Malaysia modernized. Rapid development often disturbs old burial grounds or sites where tragic deaths occurred, releasing restless spirits. The Pontianak is drawn to places associated with her death, childbirth, isolation, abandonment. The 9th floor flat was never properly cleansed, leaving her spirit trapped. Many Malaysians avoid properties with such histories, and some buildings are demolished specifically due to repeated paranormal incidents. Azman still works security, but refuses abandoned building assignments. He carries an iron nail, an old Malay protection charm, and avoids frangipani flowers. The condemned flat is gone, replaced by a shopping complex, but construction workers reported strange delays, tools missing, crying at night, and one worker who saw a woman in white at dawn watching them. Could there be a rational explanation? The smell might have been rotting organic matter. The crying could have been cats or echoes. The figure might have been a homeless person or hallucination. The CCTV glitch? Old equipment. But 3 guards experienced something, and the scratches on the second guard's face, medical staff couldn't explain their pattern. Long, deep, seemingly made by something with nails far sharper than human fingers. This takes place in Penang, in a small fishing village called Teluk Bahang. It's 2022, and 5 college students decided to test the legends by performing a ritual to call the Pontianak. This practice has been documented across Malaysia for decades, usually ending badly. One student shared the story on a podcast earlier this year, where I first heard it. The group consisted of 5 students studying at University Science Malaysia. Let's call them Hafiz, Rahman, Wei Lun, Aisha, and Mei Ling. All in their early 20s, skeptical, and looking for content for their YouTube channel focused on urban exploration and paranormal challenges. After a few drinks and bravado, they agreed to perform a Pontianak summoning ritual. The ritual is well known in Malaysian folklore. Go to an isolated place with banana trees after midnight. Walk backward around the trees 3 times while calling to the Pontianak, inviting her to appear. Bring an offering, jasmine or frangipani flowers, raw meat, or red cloth. Most people who know the legends say never attempt this, ever. They chose Teluk Bahang because Hafiz's uncle owned a house near the village, surrounded by jungle and overgrown banana plantations. They arrived around 11 p.m. in early August, set up cameras, and waited for midnight. At first, they joked around, nervous laughter covering unease. But as midnight approached, the jungle went quiet. No insects, no birds, nothing. Wei Lun operated the camera, while Hafiz explained the ritual. Then, one by one, they walked backward around the largest banana tree, calling out in Malay, "Pontianak, kami jemput awak. Datanglah. We invite you. Please come." Nothing happened. They place their offering, jasmine flowers and red cloth, at the tree base and waited. 5, 10, 15 minutes passed. Then the smell hit them. Frangipani, so strong they gagged. "Do you smell that?" Mei Ling whispered. Then they heard it, a baby's cry from deep in the jungle, far from any village. "We need to leave, now," Rahman said. Brahman kept filming, panning across the grove. That's when they saw her. Standing beyond the banana trees, barely visible in shadows, was a woman in white. Long black hair covered her face, completely still, like she'd been there all along. "Cut the camera," Hafiz hissed. But Wei Lun was frozen. And then she started walking toward them. Slowly, then faster, gliding, her feet barely touching the earth. The group scattered, running back toward the house, equipment abandoned. The last thing Wei Lun's camera captured was the woman's face, pale, eyes black, mouth opening impossibly wide, and a shriek that distorted the audio into static. They made it to the house, locked the doors, and huddled in the living room. Outside, they heard movement, something circling the house, scraping walls, scratching windows. The frangipani smell was everywhere. Aisha started reciting Ayat al-Kursi, her voice shaking. The others joined in. The scratching stopped. The smell faded. By dawn, everything was silent. When they ventured outside, the cameras were where they'd left them, except Wei Lun's. It was found 15 meters away, in the center of the banana grove, lens cracked, memory card missing. The offering was gone, but in its place was a single frangipani flower, and scratched into the dirt were 3 words in Malay. Jangan datang lagi. The Pontianak summoning ritual is rooted in the belief that spirits can be contacted through proper offerings and rituals. However, Malaysian Bomo, traditional healers, and Islamic scholars strongly warn against this, stating that inviting spirits, especially vengeful ones like the Pontianak, opens a doorway that's difficult to close. Walking backward shows submission, but leaves you vulnerable, unable to see her approach. The group deleted their YouTube channel a week later. About 3 months after the ritual, Mei Ling started experiencing sleep paralysis, waking unable to move, frangipani smell filling her room, sensation of someone sitting on her chest. It happened every night for 2 weeks, until her family brought in a Bomo for cleansing. He said something had followed her home from Teluk Bahang, and she was lucky they caught it in time. Lun hasn't been as fortunate. According to Rahman, Wei Lun refuses to sleep in the dark anymore, keeps every light on, and covers his mirrors with cloth, an old Malay practice to prevent spirits using them as portals. His roommate mentioned hearing a woman's voice from Wei Lun's room late at night, even though he lives alone. Could it all be psychological? Absolutely. Group hysteria can create powerful shared hallucinations. The smell could have been night-blooming flowers. The figure might have been a local villager or shadows. The scratching? Animals, branches, wind. The message in the dirt? One of them could have written it and blocked out the memory. The fact remains, they performed a ritual meant to summon a Pontianak, and something answered. Note: Bordel, one of Malaysia's most enduring and terrifying legends, a spirit born from tragedy and sustained by fear. Whether you believe in her or not, one thing is certain: those who seek her out rarely walk away unchanged. And in Malaysia, even today, people still avoid banana groves at night, still carry iron nails for protection, and still whisper warnings about the woman in white who waits in the shadows, forever mourning, forever hunting. Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more true ghost stories from across Asia.